Alright, let's begin. I love Brutal Doom. If you've watched any of my videos, you probably figured that out. Why do I love it? See for yourself. I guess it goes without saying, Brutal Doom kicks ass. Unfortunately, after discovering Brutal Doom, I was a bit shocked to learn that this mod has divided the Doom community. Some love it, some hate it. Those who hate it have their reasons. They say it transforms classic Doom into something that is vastly different. The gore and fatalities get old after a while, and there's also some controversy with the creator of Brutal Doom, Sergeant Mark IV. On that last note, I have no idea what the controversy is, nor do I care to find out. Brutal Doom is fun and free. But I digress. Hence the title, you're here to hear why I love Brutal Doom so much. But before I jump into Brutal Doom, I need to start at the beginning. My story begins back in 1994. Back then I was a young lad of about 10 years old, and I loved video games. My palate had a taste for great games like Mario Brothers, Mega Man, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, Double Dragon, and a few occasional cult classics like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles side-scrolling beat-em-ups. I remember that summer I had saved up enough cash for mowing lawns in my neighborhood to purchase a Super Nintendo, where I was introduced to more classics like Street Fighter II, Super Mario Kart, Final Fight, Final Fantasy II, and Mega Man X. When my parents drove me to Best Buy to purchase the SNES console, I remember there was a promotion inside for a year's subscription to Game Informer magazine with a proof of purchase of the SNES. Little did my parents know that one particular issue would inspire me to seek out a game that would change my life forever. That issue was December 1994. The title said that Doom is coming to 32X. I had no idea what either one of those were, Doom or a 32X, but man, look at that cover art. The muscly guy with a gun, the hellish surroundings, the lean on unstable ground, knowing that just 2 seconds later, this muscle-bound guy was going to be pulled down and eaten alive to meet his own doom. Opening to the page that featured Doom changed my entire perspective, literally. It was the first time I'd ever seen a game through the first-person shooter perspective. The pictures inside featured some of the weapons available in the game too. Pistol, shotgun, chain gun, rocket launcher, plasma gun, and even the chainsaw. They mentioned the BFG 9000, but they didn't show what it looked like. They kept it a mystery so you'd buy the damn game. Well, it worked on me. Sort of. I was heartbroken upon finding out that I didn't have whatever a 32X was, nor was I even capable of getting one. Summer and fall were over by then, so I had no income from lawn mowing. Begging my dad to get Doom for me on the 32X would be a fool's errand in execution and practicality. Like most dads of the 1990s, my old man was, and still is, a cheapskate. Luckily for me though, my older sister was reaching the end of her junior high school career in 1995. My dad wanted to make sure she was prepared for high school, so he took it upon himself to get a personal computer, or PC. He was a cheapskate unless it involved education. You see, we already had a computer, but it was a Macintosh 2 the old man bought from someone at work. It had 100 megabytes of storage, 1 megabyte of RAM, and a 16 megahertz processor. My dad upgraded to a Tiger Direct personal computer with Windows 95. It had a massive 500 megabyte hard drive, 8 megabytes of RAM, and a processor with a speedy 40 megahertz of prime processing power. We had quadrupled and even quintupled our computer power. The Tiger computer was a beast, but that didn't excite me one bit. The Game Informer magazine had mentioned that Doom had moved to the 32X from the PC. Now that we had a PC, the one and only question I had was, can we get Doom? Unfortunately, my dad had no clue what it was, but a trip to the local CompUSA clued him in really fast. At the register was a box containing black floppy disks. Doom, shareware, free. I was hooked on the Doom part, my dad was hooked on the free part. We both walked out happy. After a grueling load sequence through DOS, the Doom title screen popped up. New game. Knee-deep in the dead? I'm too young to die? Enter Hangar. Cue that epic E1M1 music. I was hooked. Of course, I only had Knee Deep in the Dead, but somehow those 8 maps kept me entertained for a very long time. Can I do the levels faster? Can I get through using only the shotgun? Can I do it on Hurt Me Plenty? Can I find all the items and secrets? Then I found out there was a 9th secret map. That refreshed my motivation. You would think that one episode of Doom would get old, but it didn't. I spent a solid year playing those 9 levels, eventually working my way up to ultra-violence difficulty. Meanwhile, it was the end of 1995. The old man was working for a company that benefited from the dot-com bubble of the 1990s, and for the first time ever, he received a performance bonus. Feeling generous, my dad shelled out $39.99 plus tax and brings me home a copy of Doom 2. It wasn't even Christmas. Oh, and no DOS this time. New, innovative, ultra-fast 150 kilobyte per second CD-ROM. The whole game on one damn disc. No more prompts to switch out the A drive floppy disk. Just one disc, one progress bar, one wait. My dad was proud to get a beer as it loaded. Hooked again. The graphics, the gameplay, the monsters, the sounds. It was all mostly the same, but you don't mess with success. It certainly worked for Mega Man, it can certainly work for Doom. But this time, instead of 8 maps plus 1 secret map, I received 30 maps plus 2 secret maps. Unfortunately, I missed out on the Shores of Hell and Inferno episodes from Doom 1, and I actually never played them in succession until my late 20s, but that was okay. Doom 2 at the time offered more than enough. I was obsessed. Mind you, in the mid to late 90s, I was one of the few kids with a PC, and one of the few with such a violent game. As I obsessed, people would often ask me what Doom is. Was it a survival horror game? Yes, when I sucked at it. Was it an action game? Yes, when I got good. Was it a puzzle game? Yes. Try finding the secret level in Toxin Refinery with no help from the internet. Since I can remember, I've been a numbers kid, and now I'm a numbers guy. I love math, I love formulas, and I love Excel. Hell, in my professional life, I'm certified as an accountant. My affinity for Doom was pretty much predestined. Doom's gameplay is formulaic. Each weapon is a distinct tool, each monster is a distinct foe. Combinations of different monsters requires different tactics. The monster choreography creates not a first-person shooter per se, but more of a giant math problem. This is what hooked me. This is what hooks me. And for years, there was elegance in the simplicity of Doom. Unfortunately, like all good things in life, they must inevitably come to an end. With the emerging technology of the late 90s and early 2000s, 3D shooters took the market by storm and delivered a newfound appeal to gamers. This appeal quickly went mainstream as first-person shooters were being created and released on consoles like the PlayStation and Nintendo 64. Popular console shooters like GoldenEye on the N64 showed us a unique look at first-person shooters with a crude stealth element, mission objectives, friendly NPCs, and the revolutionary split-screen multiplayer deathmatch. In the PC world, id had another revolutionary game to release in 1996. Meet Quake, PC's answer to the call of 3D shooters. New game, new revolution, new engine. id was so proud of this new engine that it was aptly named the Quake Engine. This Quake Engine received high praise and even inspired the creation of new engines by other companies. Many of the popular shooters on PC and even console owe their existence to the Quake Engine. While I didn't hop on the Quake train, one engine Quake inspired was the Gold SRC engine. This is the engine Half-Life used, a game that challenged the notion that story does not matter in first-person shooters. Half-Life is another first-person shooter that's near and dear to my heart, whose popularity inspired the Source engine, which revolutionized shooting your buddies in internet cafes with the highly tactical Counter-Strike, whose popularity paved the way for games like Call of Duty and Halo. The rest is history. Doom became something of a glorified ancestor of today's first-person shooter. Quake and its sequels became the flagship of id Software, and in 2004, Doom was resurrected with the release of Doom 3. Although a commercial success, it seemed to lack the staying power of classic Doom. I believe it was around this time that the first-person shooter genre became something of a cash grab. Each year, like those old Madden sports games, a new Call of Duty game would be released with near-identical gameplay, slightly better graphics, and a cornucopia of downloadable content. This is the inevitability of something great going mainstream. The mainstream usually gets a hold of what made the thing good and then monetizes it. As long as people are willing to pay big bucks for extra content and skins, more of the same is the winning formula, even when it gets stale. As for me, I was making my way through the era of 2005 to 2015. That decade, I was into Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, the Street Fighter Versus series, Hitman and discovering the entire series, along with finally getting some of my first experiences with Final Fantasies 1 through 10, and a lot of Diablo 2. Doom for me had become a distant but pleasant memory. It wasn't until late 2015 when I saw a video on YouTube featuring a mod. As I looked at it, I knew that I was quite familiar with it despite never hearing about it. The artwork tickled my old memories, and it didn't take long for me to realize what I was looking at. Doom. Brutal Doom. Version 17. I was a bit late to the party, but it was still new to me. Loads of blood and gore, new weapons, new gameplay, and old monsters with new attacks. And best of all, free. The blood of my forefather ran deep. That day, I figured out how to load Doom mods. As it turns out, all you need is a paid copy of Doom and Doom 2, and an internet connection. It was a lot easier than it sounds. So one id Software package sale on Steam and a free download later, I was playing Doom all over again. The hook, the obsession, it all returned in full force. It was like I was 10 years old all over again, only this time with the Brutal Doom mod. It was refreshing. Brutal Doom had breathed new life into an old friend and made it as appealing as it once was. With Brutal Doom, I played through the original Doom, all 4 episodes finally, Doom 2, and even Final Doom. During these playthroughs, I noticed that Brutal Doom made minor modifications to item and monster placement. It also added some new monsters and even added a few extra maps from the PlayStation versions. I couldn't wait to see what else it had in store. Although the blood and gore is the main appeal, Brutal Doom also brought with it a plethora of new gameplay elements and strategies. Most of the weapons now need to reload, which is understandably annoying to some, but it balances the game as the weapons are more powerful this time around. Most weapons now have a secondary fire, which adds new tactics to the game. These new features make the original Doom weapons more distinct and offer better advantages in specific types of situations for ideal demon extermination. One of the first things I noticed in weaponry is the shotgun and the super shotgun. In the original Doom, the super shotgun was always the better choice in nearly every situation. The shotgun was only useful in situations where you had low ammo and had weak enemies spaced apart, like in Map 15 Industrial Zone in Doom 2. Aside from situations like this, the super shotgun is almost always better if you have it and an ample amount of shotgun shells. In Doom 2, you may not ever use your regular shotgun again after finding the super shotgun in Map 2. But in Brutal Doom, the regular shotgun is extremely useful in most situations as it packs a heavier punch and also offers the benefit of increased accuracy. The super shotgun, on the other hand, is now a lot less accurate, giving it more of a sawed-off feel and delivers most of its power at close range. Up close, the super shotgun in one shot can fell a Kaku Demon, Revenant, and even a Hell Knight or Mancubus if you're close enough. And you aim for the head. This comes at a cost though. Sniping with the super shotgun in Brutal Doom is a fool's errand, especially if you have a shotgun where secondary fire allows you to look down the sights. Somehow looking down the sights makes the pellet grouping tighter. In Knee Deep in the Dead and Classic Doom, it was a fairly simple task to get through the entire episode with just the shotgun. But in Brutal Doom, there's more emphasis on using the right tool for the job. In addition to the increased damage from weapons, Brutal Doom also features the use of headshots, which delivers double damage. Your foes are quite aware of this, and some will often hide their heads when they suspect that their brain pans are in your crosshairs, forcing you to adjust your aim accordingly. Brutal Doom also offers new weapons such as the submachine gun, assault rifle, the axe, auto shotgun, machine gun with grenade launcher, an actual grenade launcher, railgun, flamethrower, Mancubus flame cannon, BFG 10,000, the Unmaker, Revenant missiles, and the hand grenade. All of these weapons deliver a unique combat cycle to take on the new tactics of Doom's Hellspawn and zombies. Of course, around this time, the Doom remake came out and officially gave a middle finger to the first-person shooter genre by offering unique gameplay, a bitching soundtrack, and absolutely no paid downloadable content. Even I came along and played the remake and put in over 100 hours into its sequel, Doom Eternal. These are really good games and a nice break from the monotonous cash grab of first-person shooters of the previous decade. Despite the fun factor of the new Doom games, they still had nothing on Brutal Doom. After extensive play, I soon discovered that if you break the new Doom games down to their core elements, you simply kill a bunch of monsters, walk into the next area, kill more monsters, rinse and repeat. Much less puzzle solving, much less free roam, much less variability. Yeah, I'll probably get flack for saying that about the new Doom games, but it needed to be said. I was also a bit jaded about the new Doom games after suspecting that the glory kills in the new Doom that everyone loves so much feels like they originated in Brutal Doom. That's where I saw them first, after all. Brutal Doom came out sometime in 2011. Doom 2016 came out in, 2016. And look at it. They're basically the same. Use a melee attack on a weak enemy, and collect the health that comes out. Speaking of which, let's discuss glory kills in further depth. or fatalities as they're called in Brutal Doom. The Berserk pack in Brutal Doom vastly modifies the gameplay, far more than classic Doom did. Obtaining Berserk even gives your fist a secondary fire mode. Secondary fire on a Berserk fist changes between crushing your foes immediately and Rip and Tear mode, which allows you to perform fatalities in a temporarily invulnerable state. If you're good with your fists, you can turn a room full of zombies and imps into a stock supply room of health and armor pickups. Fatality types are random, and some do more for you than others. Also, depending on the monster type killed, you get more or less health and armor. Basically, the bigger the monster, the more goodies come out. The major exception right now being the Baron of Hell, which when killed with a fatality will refill your health to 100%. Some of the random fatalities on sergeants, imps, or even cacodemons allow you to take the head or body or eye and use it to throw at other enemies. Berserk is so essential in Brutal Doom that you can gain it randomly as a drop from killing pinky demons or larger in the form of a strength rune. Strength runes will refill health by 10% to a maximum of 100%, but still offer Berserk for virtually the entire duration of the map. My only complaint is that strength runes add to the item count. This becomes a problem when they randomly drop in hard to reach or impossible places, which tend to ruin my 100% item count in my featured gameplay videos. Also, take note of the normal monster deaths. Sometimes you can cripple them, which is pretty cool on its own, but this is also a gameplay feature. Say you have a dying foe. If you're not Berserk, you have 4 choices here. 1. Let him bleed out. 2. Finish him. 3. Finish him by shooting the head. Or 4. Finish him by kicking the head. The first 2 do nothing aside from ending the monster, but by shooting or kicking the head before they bleed out, you can get extra health and sometimes armor. Doing this, you have to ask yourself if you have enough ammo, if there are surrounding enemies, and if you have enough time to get close and kick twice. You must assess and make your decision quickly, as you only have a few seconds before the monster bleeds out on his own. Also, depending on the type of monster, you may want to prioritize killing the suffering monster first. Sergeants and zombie men, for example, will sometimes make a last stand with a pistol and are surprisingly accurate and deadly with it. Pinky demons often will wake up and charge at you faster to get another bite out of you. Chain gunners bleed out too, but they need a lot more attention and damage to make the goodies pop out. Do you have the time and the ammo to make this happen? If you're Berserk, you have the original 4 choices and also a few others, such as the opportunity to take smaller enemies as human shields. Personally, I never use this feature, but it is available. With Berserk, you can also hit harder, making it possible to get the cruelty bonus with a single kick or punch. Other new monster features are that the pain elementals explode for damage when killed, lost souls can be grabbed and hurled at walls or other demons to deliver fire damage, the Spider Mastermind death animation can damage you with the explosion and also falling legs, and Revenants can have their own legs blown off and continue the fight, all while being immune to monster infighting. And speaking of explosions, the rocket launcher now has a back blast. Basically, if you fire the rocket launcher with your back to a wall, you will take damage. You need to take a couple of steps forward to be safe. Even though I'm quite aware of this, I probably have been responsible for killing myself this way as many times by this feature as I have by taking regular splash damage from my own rockets fired too close to a wall or an enemy. I know I have the ability to turn this feature off, but the backblast also damages any foes that are behind me. It's rare when this works in my favor, but it has still saved me on more than one occasion. There are many more features that have been added to Brutal Doom, like stealth kills, melee combos, jumping, jump kicking, crouching, dropping guns and ammo, dual wielding, rescuable marines, shootable rocket ammo, taunting enemies, blows to the groin, evil marines, demon spheres, and much, much more. If I mentioned all of these features, how they change the gameplay, and why I like them, we would be here all day. And I'm sure you're looking forward to getting back to my channel's gameplay videos. And speaking of my channel, I actually only discovered how to play Doom WODs in 2021, hence the name of my YouTube channel, Raymond BD21. Raymond my first name, Brutal Doom 2021. Clever, huh? But yes, I owe the inspiration for my channel to Doom YouTuber Decino. I happened across his Mucus Flow video in early 2021, and something about it had my full, undivided attention. Inspired, I took the time to learn about WODs, how to make them work with Brutal Doom, and began playing. Once I got good enough, I bought a headset with a mic and loaded some basic video editing software and began my quest to beat the Mucus Flow myself with Brutal Doom. I've made Doom videos prior to the Mucus Flow, but it was on my laptop with my built-in microphone. I'm slightly embarrassed about these videos as they're quite sloppy. You can hardly hear my voice too. Something I noticed on YouTube in 2021 is that there are plenty of good Doomers out there, but it is rare to find any brutal Doomers, at least serious ones. It is my hope that I'm serving a specific, unique demand out there. I've had my viewers comment on my videos, often saying that they dislike Brutal Doom, but enjoy my videos, which I suspect means that I'm doing something right. Speaking of which, very recently, Decino has started playing Going Down about 2 weeks after I started it. Based on this fact, I'd like to think I inspired him. Maybe more Doomers will follow suit with what I choose in the coming months here. In the meantime, when I have the meantime, I'm checking out all kinds of WODs and Mega WODs and seeing if they're compatible with Brutal Doom. Sometimes they're perfectly compatible. Sometimes certain features change or are left out completely. Sometimes I experience really weird stuff. And sometimes the WOD simply crashes. It definitely is an adventure picking WODs that work and also show promise of good entertainment potential. But as I said early in my career, as long as I have one subscriber and at least one person watches my latest videos, I'll keep playing and posting. I hope this video was enlightening as to why I love Brutal Doom. All of this to announce my next WOD. But before I reveal, can I get a drum roll please? I'm going to be playing the Hell on Earth Starter Pack, the Mega WOD made by Sergeant Mark IV himself. I've only played the first level out of curiosity and to check compatibility, and since my fanbase actually enjoys my blind runs, I haven't played anything else in here. According to the description online, dimension-traveling experiments on Mars have gone wrong, and all hell is breaking loose. Face death and despair on this retelling of the original story in a new way never seen before. This should be fun. And you know what? Let's do 2 WODs. Seems like a popular thing to do these days. Can I get another drum roll, please? The Ultimate Doom? Yeah. But no, not quite. This is called the Maps of Chaos Pack. It modifies the original levels of Doom, and I believe this WOD was also built with Brutal Doom in mind. But don't quote me on that. I've had some experience playing the original Maps of Chaos, but I've recently discovered that since my initial time sampling this WOD, there's been a release of Maps of Chaos Hardcore and Maps of Chaos Overkill, each of which increased the difficulty with more monster placement. And because I'm a bit insane, I'll be playing Overkill, but only on Ultraviolence, not Black Metal. These 2 WODs and coming gameplay videos are my love letter to Brutal Doom, and as such, I'll be keeping all the features of Brutal Doom on to give you the full experience. I can't wait to get started, and I'm sure you were sick of waiting for my busy season to be over. I was too. In any case, thank you for watching. You guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you very soon.